You know, and the thing is, about the ownership of the media, I met Rupert Murdoch once. I skied his family down from the mountain in Aspen. I talked to him when he was just coming to this country and when he had just acquired the Chicago Sun-Times. And I talked to him a little bit and skied with his kids. And my question was, how does an Australian publisher of some little newspapers in Australia acquire the capital to come to the United States and take over hundreds of papers and television networks? This is what you have to understand. How this works, well, I've seen how it works in Estonia. I know the media mogul in Estonia. He is made rich by an outside source in Sweden and London. This outside source has created this man, he's a Jewish man in Estonia, to own all the newspapers, all the magazines in that country. So he becomes the kingmaker. And it's the same thing with Rupert Murdoch. Rupert Murdoch is an Orthodox Jew he keeps that pretty hidden, but his mother was a lady named Green. She was an Orthodox Jew from Australia, and he was funded from the very beginning by the Rothschild Bank. So they create him, and he becomes the vessel, he becomes their man in America. And so, for example, when the United States invaded Iraq, was preparing to invade Iraq in 2003, he owned 160 newspapers. And every one of his editors agreed with him about the need for American troops to go into Iraq. You see how it works? So the readers of all those newspapers in America and Canada and Britain say, yeah, I guess we should go to Iraq. Hey, that makes sense. Because most people, most Americans aren't that savvy when they read the newspaper. They don't put their critical thinking and say, well, maybe these guys are trying to convince us of something. And so we've gone into these wars very blue-eyed, and we've been terribly, terribly abused. Our country's been wasted, plundered. They've taken trillions of dollars. They've killed thousands of our people and many, many thousands of those people over there. And they have taken this country one big step back. And you know, this is my first time in America in 7 years, but I have never been in a country that is so militarized in my life. You know, it's frightful. But the media is the main tool by which they occupy our minds, by how they deceive us. And I know also that I used to work for a little independent paper, so-called independent paper. The alternative media is also controlled. So it's not as simple as black and white. You say, well, I'm not going to read the New York Times, but I'm going to listen to Alex Jones. You see, you have to understand that it's not so simple. In the alternative media, there's a great deal of control too. So it means that you really have to be able to use your critical thinking skills and sift the wheat from the chaff. You have to tell for yourself what is true and what is not true.